Legal Tech for Africa.
Good evening. Bonjour. Karibu sana. Salamu alaikum. Wherever you are from Africa and beyond. Welcome back to another power-packed edition of Vivo Legal Tech for Africa, where we decode the intersection of law, technology, and innovation shaping our continent's future. This is episode 11, and today we dive into one of the most exciting and controversial frontiers in the digital age: artificial intelligence in the entertainment and creative industry. From AI-generated music topping charts to virtual artists signing record deals, the rise of artist AI is no longer science fiction. But what does this mean for African creators, musicians, filmmakers, and storytellers? Will AI empower creativity and open new doors? Or will it threaten livelihoods, originality, and cultural authenticity? To unpack this, we are joined by none other than Ola Bello, a leading entertainment lawyer who has been at the heart of conversations around intellectual property, artist rights, and the fast-changing creative economy. Together, we will explore the promises, pitfalls, and legal puzzles AI is already presenting in Africa's creative industries. Ola, welcome to Vivo Legal Tech for Africa. How far now?
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to discuss such important topic with you today. Thank you.
Bros, you are highly welcome. First of all, give us an overview of how the creative industry is in Nigeria, because of course with it's no argument there that you guys have the biggest creative industry in Africa. Tell us what's going on there. I mean, some people telling us you guys are making a lot of money.
I mean, people are making a lot of money, but funnily, I'm not like a creative, so we're still support service. At the end of the day, I'm a lawyer, and but on a more serious note now, there's a boom in the African music scene, and Nigeria seems to be in the center of it. And then with the Afrobeat movement, taking over, different aspects of the different areas of the world, and even making some Nigerian artists relocate and even compete in markets like the US, like such like any US artist, which is very, very impressive for African artists. So there's a lot going on in the creative scene. The creative scene is booming. And then, of course, like aside Nigeria, we also have the South African brothers with the Amapiano, also like leading the movement. So yes, but with time, I know that some other parts of Africa would also spring up, because I'm aware of some other interesting sound in Nairobi and in some other areas where the entertainment scene is currently starting to boom. So yeah, that's the recap of the Nigerian music scene or entertainment scene in general.
I see, and of course, this is what we say: Africa is taking the world, because wherever you go today, I mean, you will hear the sound of Nigeria, or if not, South Africa, Kenya, as you mentioned, and of course back home here in Sierra Leone, as to our sound is playing everywhere. I mean that is a very huge development. Ola, your work at the heart of you work at the heart of entertainment law in Nigeria. From your perspective, how is AI already impacting the creative and entertainment industries in Africa?
Okay, so for me, I'm also privileged to work in advertising. In fact, that's my like day to day. I work with a media agency, so I'm in the frontier of AI disruption. Like I can see it happening, right?
Yes.
So there are several aspects that AI is disrupting the creative scene in Africa, and then it's multifaceted. For example, from production of the actual work
Mm-hmm.
to distribution, and then which also leads to marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All those areas are areas where AI is really, really disrupting. Because now, you don't have to, sometimes you don't have to even hire, people are using AI to generate their cover arts.
Mm-hmm.
They're generating cover arts, they are turning, like you could prompt AI to turn your picture to what a cover art would look like.
And there
And then boom,
there
you have
goes the job of
and
the graphic designer.
or the graphic designer. Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
So that is really the disruption is but for now,
Mm-hmm.
I think for the foreseeable future, I think is the designers who can use these tools that are edging, because at the end of the day, for big brands, they still want to outsource. They still, I mean, to me, it doesn't mean that a big brand will want to do their design themselves. They will still outsource to agencies, and agencies then would give it to the creative, the art director, who is going to then use AI to repurpose these items, and then it takes efficiency in terms of the time you have to spend
Mm-hmm.
to make this work now. Yes, there's that. We have to recognize that it makes everything faster, and then surprisingly, creatives are coming with smarter questions
Mm-hmm.
for lawyers,
Mm-hmm.
and even challenge you on some points,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they've
Yeah.
asked their AI, which is almost like a personal assistant. For example, there's a certain artist who sampled a song,
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to clear with the supposed owner of the song.
Mm-hmm.
And according to his own testimony online, he realized that he was having a bad day, and then that's how much people use AI these days. He was having a bad day and was talking to his AI that, okay, which is just the ChatGPT, the regular one, just talking to ChatGPT that is not having a great time, and you know, prompting after prompting, then comes to the real question. I'm trying to clear this song, and the owner is not even responding. And then the AI told the artist that that's not even the owner of the song. You should be reaching out to this guy, because
Wow.
this guy also sampled. So you should be reaching out to this guy. And then he reached out with his legal team to that person. And then within 3 days, the song was cleared and was able to drop it. So that is how much it is transforming the industry
So in
in
other
terms of
words,
the tools.
yeah. So in other words, AI is present at the moment in our industry. I mean,
AI is very, very present.
I mean,
Very
so
present.
I mean, you are very close to Nollywood, and you've been working with Nigerian artists for quite a while now. I mean, so many people, especially for us here in Sierra Leone, we still have the traditional way of doing things, and we do believe that it's still far away from our shores. I mean, it's not that actually happening here yet. But from your story and what you're telling me now is that in the Nigerian music industry, which you cited, there is AI currently in the market, whether it's cover art to sampling to production. I mean, so how scary is this as an entertainment lawyer?
I mean, as an entertainment lawyer, the part where I have to, worry about my job, because people think that they can generate contract these days. But somehow I'm still in business, so hopefully we'll still be in business for a while. So, and also, like, the important thing is that even after, there's still a bit of lack of trust in the technology, because everyone knows that even if the fact that AI tells you this it doesn't mean it's true, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps there'll get to a time where you have to believe everything that is that perfect, where you have to, maybe the data used in training, they are so accurate that you have to, this is actually the opinion. So until then. But on a general note, it is actually very scary. It is very scary for the number of people that would lose their jobs. And also there are aspects such as marketing, right? People are usually, like, when you go to Spotify and you see your description of your music, why, like, you write a short thing about your music, people would give that gig to like a writer, a
Mm-hmm.
journalist.
Yeah.
This is my music, this is the story, just give me something. People give that same prompt to AI and then generate an entire paragraph that goes everywhere in the marketing. So that it is very, very scary. And then to see it daily. But on the more positive side is that it's also constituting a veritable tool in the hands of creatives, right? If you're recording, to the point where if you're recording a song and you already have the rhythm, but you don't have the words, you can ask AI that, what word can I fit into this to sound with this, and it goes. People are doing this, trust me.
Wow.
When it
Wow.
comes to production, people are using AI
So,
to mix one or two.
let's get this clear, Ola. So they're using AI to fit lyrics. They are using it
Yes.
to make samples and make beats and productions. So in every step of the production, so from the creation to the final outcome of the song, there is artificial intelligence involved. Is that what you're telling my viewers?
Not everybody,
Yes.
because I have to also make the disclaimer that I have an article coming about the polarizing view of AI, right? There's a set of people who would never admit to the use, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are some who are bold about it and even telling you that, okay, I use AI for this, I use AI for this, right? And there's a much older generation who is much against it. The generation that believes that you have to actually be a musician, you have to actually be able to play all that. And then for the younger generation, they are more, because it's happening in their time and they are messing with the technology, trying to understand it, trying to use it better. So it's a bit of polarizing opinion and use, but in all fairness, AI is in the industry and is playing. And also, I have to add this. Because there's actually a label in Nigeria that has an AI artist as we speak.
Wow.
Although it is not mainstream yet, and surprisingly, it is also one of the oldest labels in Nigeria, with one of the largest music catalogs. So
Wow.
imagine what they can do. Imagine what they can do in even reimagining older records that people have forgotten, and bringing them back to the game. So there's a lot going on. AI is playing, and
I mean,
that is the reality.
Ola, I mean, globally, we're seeing AI generated songs. I mean, chatting and AI created art selling for thousands of dollars and stuff. And now you're telling us there is a very old music powerhouse in the industry in Nigeria who at the moment do have an AI artist on the ground. Do you think Africa in particular is ready for this disruption?
Okay, so the thing about disruption is that it doesn't matter whether you're ready or not. Disruption is still going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And also, like, for a disruption to happen, I think every stakeholder has to be, on board for it to happen in the real sense.
Yeah.
And then one of the stakeholders when it comes to creative industry is the actual consumers themselves.
Yeah.
Because most people in Nigeria do not even know about this AI artist that I mentioned, because it's not even mainstream or did not get that acceptance, right?
Yeah.
People are not buying it. They are not buying it. It's soulless. I can't connect to the story. Where are you from? Like, you're not even from my place. Like, there's still that connection that people seek from actual artists that is not there. So disruption is going to happen regardless. But I know that there's still a bit of resistance from stakeholders such as DSPs themselves, like Spotify and the likes, and then the artists themselves, and then finally to the consumers. They still feels very soulless for all of that. But also there's a part of the creative industry in Nigeria and Africa in general, which is the online content creation. It is widely accepted there. People still think that it's some tool you can use to make the wildest thing, funny jokes and all of that. And then you see AI content raking up numbers, which somehow is not accepted when it comes to original art, such as actual music or in movies. We don't have any movie that is completely, or even like any reported AI use, but online content is where it's dominating. People are people are building actual pages of AI tools. So I think that's the balance that we are having right now. But the disruption is going to happen regardless.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about opportunities and innovation now. With all that you've said, could AI actually level the playing field for young African artists who can't afford expensive studios or equipment?
I believe so. I believe so.
Uh-huh.
I believe so in the way that production becomes even like cheaper. Like, for example, there are several things that, like I said, when I was talking about people reaching out to lawyers, people have smarter questions to ask now,
Uh-huh.
because it's the past where they've done like the education and the background work using AI, asking AI, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. So that helps in that regard. Also, it levels the playing ground because everybody has AI now, and
Yeah,
then
the
you almost have
democratization of it. Yeah.
yes, 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 yes.
Mm-hmm.
But in the real sense, some AI tools are still not really open source in the real sense, because you still have to you have to still pay for a higher level of access and all of that. But the ones that most of them are still those access are hidden behind paywalls.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the last scheme of things, it would have been more expensive. It would have been way more expensive to let's say get the actual tools that are used, or even you don't even have them around. So that's the reality. So I agree with you that it democratizes.
Yeah, yeah. And now, so in what ways can African creatives harness AI to tell stories and create content that resonates globally? Because now you're saying one of the reasons that people are rejecting the new phenomenon is that it doesn't resonate with them. It doesn't feel you don't feel the authenticity or the story. This is not from us. There is a sort of culture playing. So in what sense do you think that this new tool can harness and create content that resonates with the people that it's meant for?
In terms of content, really, like in terms of content,
Yeah.
people are making content that resonates. People
Okay.
are making content that resonates, right? But in terms of actual art, that's where the issue is, because people there's still a sacred, preservation of art. So when it comes to content creation, people are making relatable content. In fact, there are pages online where people just, even like indigenous adages or proverbs, people put pictures, AI generated pictures, and ask you, what proverb is this? Like, people are teaching like even indigenous languages with that, even religious. In people are reimagining Bible stories
Yeah.
that would take a lot of money to produce with use of AI. There's a Moses somewhere online that is, taking us through the journey and all of that. So, in terms of, yes, there's a lot of opportunity in terms of content creation. People are using it for, but when it comes to the actual art itself, like music, movies, comedy, which is like, I mean, no, we don't have any AI stand-up comedian yet. So people still hold it sacred that people still make it exclusive to look like, okay, this is not what AI can do. This is beyond the scope of AI. So
So
the pushback is still there.
yeah, do you envisage an AI stand-up comedian in the near
I
future?
mean, actually, I can conceptualize it because AI can roast everybody in the entire, a lot of comedians do crowd work, right? And AI can definitely roast everybody, everybody in the audience.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time, to be honest.
But don't you
And
think
also,
at the moment comedians are using it to develop, to create or generate jokes?
I mean, it would be an essay if I say yes, because
Uh-huh.
no one has admitted. But with how much people are dependent, I can tell you for free that there's a high chance that people are especially Nigerian, maybe Nigerian comedians that are trying to go global and all of that. Maybe when you get to a new jurisdiction and you want to tell jokes and you want to localize, you want to local references and all of that. Instead of having to talk to a lot of locals, you can just do some search and all of that. And I can't say for a fact because there's no report or people. I've not seen any video where anybody admits, but there's a very high chance with how dependent people are on AI today that people are using it to refine, maybe not entirely generate, but to refine their works.
All right. Ola, I want us now to go to legal and ethical to a legal and ethical conversation. Of course, you are a lawyer, even though you are consumed with the entertainment sector of the law. But let me ask you these questions. One of the big questions is who owns AI generated work? That is first of all, who owns creativity is a very big question as far as intellectual property is concerned. Now that AI is in the mix and we've established that, who owns AI generated work? From a legal standpoint, how is this being handled in Africa, if at all, or in Nigeria?
Okay. So I wish I could answer that question in like a yes or no fashion.
Okay.
But this is a $1 trillion question being asked all around the world.
Yeah.
Including the US Corporate Office. They are still asking who owns, who should own. We don't even know who to credit yet. So in some jurisdictions like the US, there's a bit of direction on what the ownership would look like and authorship, right?
Yeah.
Because they are still refusing to, refusing to credit because there has to be that human, input.
Yeah.
But there are instances where AI has been used and then the copyright still existed. For example, there's a Grammy-nominated artist who had, some lumbar issue, which like they had to use some AI tools to get his. There's a way they did it that they were able to get his voice like through the AI to form the song, and then the copyright was granted for that song because of the way it was used. But generally, prompting and generating content, I want a song that sounds like Drake and Rihanna, and then you get it. Then the law is not going to grant you copyright for that.
Yeah.
Although there are some jurisdictions where they consider the level of effort, because when it comes to prompting, you can if you cannot account for every single input that AI does in that end product. So how can you then claim authorship? If I tell AI to generate a picture of a light-skinned man for me, there are 900 elements that will be there that I probably didn't put into it. There are some jurisdictions like I think Japan. There was a time where someone had to be credited for like copyright had to be credited because when you look at the prompt was over 1,000 or thereabouts, specifying every single finite detail
of what the AI should.
What, yes. So in that regard, okay, the law granted it. Also in the US, there's an instance where someone did a comic. The entire conversation, the words, the everything was actually written, was a written script. But the images that shows the conversation they tell the actual stories were AI generated. At first, it was granted, the authorship was granted, but on the second look, they figured out it was AI generated, and then it was reversed, and then the wordings were copyrighted, but not the images, right?
Yeah.
So those are like the important ways that the such works are being protected. However, in a country like Nigeria, like most places in the world, copyright can be automatic. It's very automatic unless you intend to maybe notify the copyright office. Once it is fixed and there's a once it is fixed and an original idea, then copyright
copyright is granted automatically.
For most people that don't declare that AI was used, I know most works are still going unnoticed, and then everybody's still claiming that it's mine, you know. But for instances where we start seeing fully AI artists, then I think those kind of dynamics can be reviewed. But for now, we're still trying to look for, what the word is saying, because there's almost no uniformed position, including the UK. Everybody's still scrambling, trying to, there was still a paper by the US Corporate Office some weeks back. And in fact, there's even another one from Sweden, I think last week, trying to trying to trying to see how creators can benefit from training AI with their materials,
Yeah.
where they can get like a revenue, almost like a revenue source. So it's another revenue source aside streaming, aside buying the book. Training AI can actually also generate funds for creators. So everybody's still confused around the world, including
Mm-hmm.
Sweden, which are places where copyright is, taken very seriously. Sweden, United States, even Asia. So, but I know that Africa is not an excuse for Africa, because I mean we could be leading regulation in that regard,
Uh-huh.
but unfortunately we are not. We are still trying to see where everybody is going to follow, and then maybe perhaps follow that route as well.
I mean,
So that's the reality.
in May of this year, I was part of a team that represented my university where I did my master's degree, the University of Edinburgh, in Madrid, Spain, and we had a simulation, and the simulation was um, these two artists, the plaintiff and the claimant and the defendant, prospective plaintiff and defendant. Um, um, Enter the competition. Do you know? You've heard of the Euro contest, right? It's
Yes, yes. I think we had a conversation about it as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, I think so. Yes, and then one of the artists, of course, used an AI tool to um, produce her music, and then the other artist, um, of course, has been using AI over the years, but I think for that particular episode of the competition didn't use AI. But what happened? Guess what? The artist that used AI won the competition at the end of the day. And after she had won the competition, the artist who came second um, accused her of plagiarism, and that the song that was generated by the AI looked very similar to his song. And in fact, the names of the song that won the competition was titled "Echoes of Tomorrow," and the song that this artist is claiming to have been copied was titled "Feeding Echoes." So he claimed that the AI tool had not even the AI tool, the artist who utilized the AI tool had plagiarized his song. So in situation like that, imagine, I mean, that can come up in your industry, of course, in your daily life. I mean, of course, something like that may come up to you as an entertainment lawyer. Your client may have used AI, and then someone is accusing your client of copyright infringement, or vice versa on the other way. So how do we as lawyers, how do we settle these things, and how do we go about these things? How do we get these things, go around this sort of scenarios?
So for the thing about like new technologies, at the end of the day,
Yes.
is that nothing is really new under the sun, right? And then I respect older colleagues a lot, because nothing seems to phase them. Like once they figure out what area of law it falls under, that's the end. Like nothing phases them. If you call it blockchain, call it smart contracts, call it AI, right? If you use the tool to commit a crime or a civil wrong, then you get redress. And like we have judicial precedents. The court has to expand the law in that regard. To doesn't matter what tool you used. You could have been, you could have simply just copied. You could you could there are several ways that people actually steal other people's work, right? It
Yeah.
could be data scraping. So I believe that the law is effective to although I still, it might be difficult to convince the judge
Yeah.
because sometimes I work in media advertising, and I've had an art director meet me to say that he generated an act, a work, and he can bet that that work like was a copy of his work. Like he could bet that this is my art. Like I did this. This is my art, right?
I
And
see.
there was a time where people were generating some form of art with their picture, and then the owners were threatening to sue and all of that. So it's a big issue. These are real issues. People are, and then it takes us back to the fact that
Mm-hmm.
unauthorized content and materials and data are being used to
Mm-hmm.
train those AI models. And in fact, there was a certain case where several record labels in the United States sued some AI companies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the report, you will realize that these AI companies revealed to their investors that they actually declared to investors that there's a possibility of a lawsuit
Yeah.
because they know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they are aware that there's a possible, because if you use what you don't own, at the end of the day, is intellectual property theft. So many people settle out of court in some ways, as we see it. But that's also an admission in a way to say
Yeah.
that
Yeah. No, but
there's
it doesn't
something here being
necessarily,
used to
it doesn't
authorize.
necessarily look like an admission to me though, because one way to arbitration, of course, is to of course forgo um some sort of admission, but in the sense of like admission, like when admitting to a claim or to in front of the court, it doesn't sound like that to me. It's just a way to settle something. But nonetheless, I think this is a very big issue. So if you just
But
joining the,
the payouts are huge. The
yeah.
payouts are huge. So you don't make those payouts if you don't have anything in your cupboard. Like you have to have, there has to be some legit claim to make all those huge settlements. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we're having this argument now because there's almost no decision on that. Most
Yeah.
people settle out of court, and most people don't even maybe
Yeah.
have the legal capacity to take these companies that are now getting huge to
Yeah.
court. So
Yeah.
hopefully in the future we have a reference where we don't even have to argue about it. And to be honest, is we are drawing every day, we are drawing nearer to having a precedent on that,
Yeah.
because the use is getting more and more, and then creatives can't just keep watching these companies become billion-dollar companies over their work. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right in so many sense. If you're just joining the stream, this is Vivo Legal Tech for Africa. Today we are looking at the impact of AI in the creative industry in Africa. You can add your voice by way of comment or question. The comment section is at your purview. It's at your will, so use it is as and when you like and when you want. Um, don't forget to support the stream. Of course, we're looking now for donations. You can scan the QR code that you're seeing on the screen and then donate whatever little you have to our stream. Those donation, of course, makes us come up every Friday to bring this lovely show to you. So, Ola, let's continue the conversation now, and one more question on this IP area, which I would like to know from you. Do you see AI as more of a threat or an opportunity to African artists' intellectual property rights?
This is a very big question, right?
Yeah.
And then I think because we are not in the forefront of the infringement,
Uh huh.
I could say it's an opportunity, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, we are not in the forefront of we're not we're not in the front line when it comes to the victims now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I believe it's an opportunity for African creatives.
Mm-hmm.
But then I can't. I will be. It will be hypocrite. It will be hypocritical to deny the the negative sides of the technology itself. But it's been an amazing tool, and then many of course many of them are not still perfect for commercial use, and I still believe that when they get to the point where they are very very good and very perfect, many of the best ones are going to still be hidden behind paywalls. They are not
Yeah.
going to be entirely free. However, they could be cheaper
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, if you can actually generate an explosion scene rather than exploding anything or having to you know make an actual explosion itself and it will be realistic, then
Yeah. Yeah.
it's going to be cheaper at the end in the long run.
Yeah, I think you don't need to explode a car. You just need to ask AI to explode a car for you, and then of course it will
Exactly.
look realistic. During one of your submissions, you mentioned data scraping, and that leaves me with asking you this question. Of course, there is a risk of African cultural data being mined by these AI companies without consent. What legal tools exist or should exist to protect against this, guarding our data as Africans?
Okay, so there's a there's a thing about AI that we all know is that
Mm-hmm.
the output is going to give the source away in most cases. For whatever it can do, it must have been fed to be able to do it.
I
So,
see.
if I'm able to generate an actual, and also I must add that African centric AI companies are rising. Like there are some that are rising to teach languages and all of that, and that's a lot of prompting with indigenous materials and cultural material to develop all that.
Yeah.
Although there's still a legal question because there's some copyrighted work that might have been used as well. So it's a bit of there's that. It's almost like you're moving in circles with it. But I see instances where African culture is being used, and but I don't think it will be anything that we haven't experienced before, to be honest. Not to put the not to put the serious matter lightly,
Yeah.
but it will just be as we have experienced. Like our artifact is just a digital, it's just the digital version of stolen artifacts and all of that. And that's going to happen in the long run. It's going to
Yeah.
happen. But the most important thing is identifying these things, fighting for it, and I think that's going to be the reality. For example, like I said, that output we always give it away. In the Wakanda movie, which is I think that's Black Panther movie where the Ghanaian society, indigenous community societies sued or were planning to sue for the use of the kente fabric and all of that.
Yeah. W-
If you use
w-
AI, we will know, we can identify. That's the thing. There's a watchdog online now. Like if you use it for commercial purpose to
uh-huh.
sell it to us, we will know, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is the ability to be able to fight whoever is using those materials. And then, for copyright ownership, there are exceptions. Let's say if you use it for research, I know that people make their slides with AI now and all of that. So research purposes, education, and some other exceptions that fall under fair use. Anything commercial, once you want to commercialize it, and then one way or the other is going to give it away. And then I believe that there's a I'm positive that there's a strong watchdog, which is the online platforms now. Everybody's watching.
Yeah.
In fact, even what you have not stolen, people are already thinking, I think you've stolen something from Africa. So I believe that watchdog can really help in safeguarding. And of course, that's the first step, identifying that, okay, this is stolen from us. And then the next step goes enforcement, which is from the society, because usually the government is usually like the custodian of those cultural heritage. So that's the government trying to enforce, through their ministries and agencies, enforce those and fight those infringements. So yeah, it's going to happen, and maybe already even happening. But then
Yeah,
it's about
I mean,
identifying through output and then reaching out for
we
enforcement
as
and
Afri-
protection.
yeah, as Africans, we've always been on the receiving end, yeah, from the colonial days when uh creative artifacts were stolen and taken to these museums. Now it is our data, and we must be worried and about that as well. So at the beginning, also, Ola, you mentioned the idea of job replacement. Of course, we started with an example of the graphic designer whose job has now been taken by the AI to create cover art. So with all this, some have argued that AI will put musicians, producers, and even actors out of work. Of course, actors with deepfake. Others say it will enhance human creativity. Where do you stand personally?
Well, I think sadly I'm pro AI. Sadly,
Okay, okay. I mean, it's not. It's
and
not
also that might
sadly.
be
It's
because
not sadly.
I
Yeah.
mean no, because once you choose a side in an argument like that, it's almost as if you don't see the other side. But but I see the other side. I see the part where people might lose their jobs, and but it's bound to happen. It's like saying drones should not have been invented because there's a guy who has a camera on an helicopter that usually would record, and that those two guys will lose their job, and they
Yes.
say
No, but those people have now
and
lost
then
their
say
jobs.
exactly, and then say drones should not have been invented because I mean, how would this man feed his family? So yes, new technology would create a new reality, and it's about adapting to new technology. We can't. I when it comes to advancing technology, I usually would not be in the school of thought that is trying to stall or trying to fight or trying to make sure it doesn't happen. Like it's moving, like it's a moving train. So it's about getting along and the opportunities that come with it. And to be honest, there's a lot of opportunities that comes with it, more than we can see.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, let me even add this that let me add this that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, AI is very, the set of people using AI, the democratization of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
like some information that you need in your like fingertips, like even for survival, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're in a place you are looking for maybe the Google sometimes might be like a junkyard these
Yeah.
days. I mean, we didn't realize how difficult it was to use Google to get some information or just basic answers. People are asking product recommendation. People are in stores. They're taking a picture. Should I use this? The AI is saying, don't use this. This is not good for indoor use. This is better for outdoor use. Like people are dependent, including
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
So so yes, I am very very pro AI, and I think that you know I think that at the end of the day, it's a moving train. We have to get along. We have to see how we can make this work, and also, like I always say, when it comes to like a when it comes to the use of AI is not some random tools where that it's not like a rogue, right?
Yeah.
Although it can be used for wrong things, and when it sees there's appropriate channels to fight back on that, these AI tools are owned by AI companies with known CEOs, with actual corporate governance, compliance mechanism. So there are all these tools from stakeholders. It's just you know making sure that the society actually works like it should, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you use AI to commit crime now, many countries are enforcing cybercrime. For example, Nigeria, we have the Cybercrime Act. If you make a if you make an AI generated porn of somebody, I mean, the jail is already like the way because it's already all those kind of things, cyberbullying and all of that. So
Yeah.
it's already there, and we are one step closer every day. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm pro AI. I'm pro AI.
It's a very interesting viewpoint, of course, and one that has some has legitimacy. But anyways, how can how can we or the entertainment industries in Africa balance embracing AI whilst protecting the livelihoods of artists? Because we don't want AI obviously to replace our artists.
Yes, yes. So I'll talk about music industry, for example, and then movie industry, and how it can protect even the industry itself. Since I'm pro AI now, so this is my take for AI. So, for example, in the movie industry, where there's have you seen like instances where people that might lose their job are like maybe stunt doubles, right? Because now
we could
you
make
could use
stunts.
AI to, yes, but in the real sense, the actors will benefit because they don't have to go through all that risk. They don't have to go through all that risk, right?
But they will earn
And then
less. They will earn less.
they no, I mean, it's still their brand that is being sold. So it's negotiation at the end of the day. They were not even going to make those stunts in the first place, right? It was the doubles that were supposed to make, and it would not have affected their earnings. But until we have a fully AI persona that everybody likes, that I want to go and watch, let's say, a Sonita as an AI. I want to watch Sonita in the studio, or I want to watch Sonita in the cinema. Until that, I think we're still on the positive side for the creative industry now. And also, like in the music industry, there's a lot of amazing use of AI. We are not in the dark side yet. I know that there's a possibility that you might want to fall into a dark side where all this are happening. But for now, I still don't see it. Of course, I don't deny that in the foreseeable 100, because the thing about the scary thing about AI is the exponential growth.
Yeah.
Is the exponential growth. And
Yeah.
exponential is not 1 to 5, it's not 1 to 10. It's 1 to 10,000, right? And you're thinking, if this thing is here now and can do all this, what is going to happen in the next 20 years, 30 years? So I think we are more scared about the unknown than the known. And then it's the exponential growth. So I believe that for now, the way I see it is that we are still in the, we're still in the honeymoon phase of fully enjoying the benefits of the technology, and how much, and is enriching the industry. Of course, there's a bit of repetition because it can lead to lack of creativity as well. If everybody keeps saying, because creativity used to be doing what has not been done before, doing what has been done before in a different way.
Yeah.
So if everybody start prompting and generating, I mean, it gets boring, and then it's obvious. Everybody, I want something that looks like this. At the end of the day, everybody gets that thing that looks this way, and everybody, we are looking the same way.
I mean,
And
yeah.
that goes to fashion. That goes to fashion as well. Fashion, arts, and fashion, arts, music industry, and the movie industry. So I think sport is still very, very safe because there's no AI in our national teams yet. So
We'll get robots. We'll get robots to play
yeah,
football.
yeah. I mean,
Anyways,
maybe
Ola,
robot ball.
yeah, we'll get. I mean, we'll get robots to be the referees. That is coming. So now we have VAR. We have.
I mean, we already have the VAR. Yeah, we
Yeah,
already have
so
VAR.
we'll soon get robots refereeing the game. We're running out of time. Time is no longer our friend. So we cannot come here and discuss all of this without discussing policy and regulation. We are lawyers. Ola, first of all, let's talk about the governments and regulators. Do you think African governments and regulators are paying enough attention to this AI disruption in your industry?
I think no. I think the answer is no.
Okay.
And another thing is that I believe that it's the atmosphere in Africa. For example, Nigeria, that I reside currently, they can't, like, before we are usually very reactive
Yeah.
until we start to see it, until we start to see that, oh, this is what AI can cause. Oh wow. Then we'll do it, we'll go against it, or we try to protect, or we try to. So we are very, very reactive.
Uh-huh.
Very few times is very there are only very few times where we are, ahead and trying to maybe, be ahead of time and all of that. But for the most part, we are mostly reactive. However, however, I did a research on AI, recently in Africa, and I realized that many countries in Africa have national AI strategies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have national AI strategies, and then it cuts across a lot of things, from even how to educate the populace about the use of AI,
Yeah.
funding, how it's going to become costly in tertiary institutions and all of that. But those are still, those are still promises. And then there are indexes of, AI regulations, especially from data protection
Yeah.
point of view. And then, I can see African countries, although we are still very behind, but I can see that each year is almost as if there's a leap. There's a leap, and then so I believe that in terms of policy, African governments, because because we are very reactive, we are not definitely we're not leading in regulation, of
Yeah.
course. And then
Yeah, Ola, let me hold you there
and then
because
what
I have two more questions I want to ask on this, and we don't have enough
okay,
time. What role
okay.
should us lawyers and the creative associations like the artists unions and film industries play in shaping this AI policy in the art? Quickly, like in a minute.
Okay. So in a minute I would say we are advocates, right?
Yeah.
And then we're privileged to be in every phase of society as lawyers. And more than lending our voice, which can make you feel like we're powerless some ways, we're also actually in the forefront of decision making as
Mm-hmm.
lawyers. We have lawyers who are lawmakers and judges and all of that. So number one is you have to educate. We have to educate ourselves as lawyers. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot advocate for what you don't understand. First thing is understanding what technology is, what it brings to the table, and most importantly, the evil that is capable of being used for, right? And then we advocate to power to make regulations, and then the next thing is for us to actually ensure that those regulations are passed in form of laws, bylaws, and policies. So
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the ways that lawyers can come in when it comes to AI regulation in Africa.
All right. So, do you think Africa needs a unified continental approach to AI in entertainment, or should countries regulate individually?
So I understand your question, because we have the EU AI Act. But fortunately
Yes.
for Africa, I don't think the unity would. I mean, we have the African Free Trade Agreement
The
also.
AFTA. Yeah, and we also have the
Yes,
Malabo Convention on Data Protection and
exactly,
Cybercrime.
exactly.
So,
So we've collaborated in some instances, right?
mhm.
But at the end of the day, especially with the way our laws and our laws are being drafted, it will be difficult, because at the end of the day, if there's a treaty, that would be good. If there's a treaty, that would be very, very good. It will give a direction for Africa.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, the especially for Nigeria, I know that the legal system in Nigeria, you still have to domesticate those laws,
that is the
or else
problem.
they're just
That is the problem.
mere suggestions,
Yeah.
right? So they are just persuasive effects for the courts. But at the end of the day, they still have to be domesticated. And I think now that you said it this way, it might not be a bad thing after all to have a unified approach, and then have different countries in Africa domesticate it according to their own needs. So I think that might be a solid approach. But at the end of the day, I think it's best when countries deal with their own needs, individually. So
Yeah.
yes, that's why I
I
think in that
mean,
regard.
to take the Malabo Convention, for example, since its enactment, I think only 14 African countries has ratified it. And yeah, I mean, having a Pan-African or continental approach is sometimes not effective. I mean, you're
Yes.
correct. Yeah. Finally, looking forward now, if you could give one piece of advice to young African creatives about AI, what would it be?
Um, I think I think the most important advice would be to know that it's coming. Like know it's coming, know it is here already. Know that you cannot. There's nothing you can do about it. The most important thing is to let's know how to let's number one is learn how to use it to do better, and then try to see opportunities even within it. For example, as lawyers, that takes us to policy. That's an entirely new area where we have to, draft policies, regulate from banking to healthcare to education and all of that. Those are areas where policies are needed when it comes to the use of AI because, there's the Child Rights Act as well. And then, there are like protection because children are, very, very exposed in that regard. So there's a whole new line of opportunities for lawyers in that regard. And then when it comes to creative, there's a bit of opportunity as well because although it's going to eliminate some jobs, but also in a way it will make the sought after designers more expensive, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
now you are getting real art. You've tried the fake one, you know what it gave you, right? So you want the real thing, right? So also it helps us, develop our authentication system such that people are not people are not building an entire career over lies, like becoming, like maybe you claim to be a designer and then you've been using AI all along to design the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, it's learn how to use it and also learn the opportunities and always try to stay at the forefront of it, especially for like creatives in the music industry now. When it comes to marketing, the most important thing, let's say for ads, the most important thing is to be able to target your audience. People use AI to actually people use AI to target their audience to know who would want to listen to this sound,
Yeah. To collect
which is
data.
very, very important.
Yeah.
Yes. And even
Yeah.
in terms of distribution, like you have to, it helps people niche it down to the point where, okay, your song can get to the right people who actually want to, watch it. So I believe that there are lots of opportunities in both creation, distribution, and marketing. So the most important thing is to embrace it. And I know people whose industry are going to be disrupted too. At the end of the day, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just to know how to constantly have a system where you develop yourself, even if because it will create new opportunities at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's about embracing those opportunities. People who are ready to embrace those opportunities that would survive in the future in those industries. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's the
yeah. Perfect. I mean, that's it. Of course, what a conversation we've had today. We've seen how AI is no longer just a tool, but a game changer for Africa's creative and entertainment industries. From new opportunities for artists to the legal challenges of protecting originality, it is clear that the rise of artist AI is rewriting the rules of creativity on our continent. A huge thank you to you, Ola, for breaking down these complex issues and giving us real insight into where law and technology meets culture. But the conversation doesn't end
thank you
here.
for having
You're welcome, man. We want to hear from you. How do you see AI shaping Africa's music, film, and creative industries? Is it a threat or an opportunity? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this episode and let's keep the debate alive. So, thank you once more for tuning in. Like always, I am your humble host and presenter, Mohamed Wurie Bah. And on behalf of my brother, entertainment lawyer from one of the biggest entertainment industries in the world, Lagos, Nigeria, Ola Bello, we're signing out until we meet again next week for another episode. Bye bye. Until we
Thank you.